Guys, do you think it's a good thing that future generations can talk to a live Seco creator?
I, I do because we're all products of our experiences, aren't we? And our story, the value of our story definitely does increase with age. We get a stronger need to understand ourselves as we mature. What makes us the way we are? What are the pivotal issues in our life? And we've mentioned those already. And I think as life has ups and downs, and you re-examine your values as you age. You get your value system out, slap it on the table, and see if it still holds up. Yeah, you might have started life in a religious setting because of your family. And then as you mature, you start to think, actually, does that really work? Do those values still stand for me? So it's very important that we can talk to people as we go through the ups and downs of life who have had these experience and wisdom. It's about wisdom. Older people or people in our family, you can't buy wisdom. It's about wisdom and it's about kindness and curiosity. We're all curious, I think, but we make it our business to be kind as well. The product is about being kind. It's about helping people as much as we can. And it's really exciting. And if you can hear, using Steve as an example, how Grandad did what he did, that's motivating. That makes you think maybe that little seed is inside you. And they might not have thought of that. These are treasures, these are pearls, these cannot be lost. Uh, if I can just share something with you, my mum and dad were married for 70 years and they lived with me for the last 4 years of their life. And I wouldn't let them be separated, and they both died at my home. And when dad died, I found a CD. And on this CD, it said, "To Doll Love Ken." And I just thought, how's a man in his 90s done a compilation CD? I put it on for mum, and it was my dad talking. For all those years, he'd been hiding somewhere with a microphone and a tape recorder because this predates any iPhones or voice memos. He'd been hiding up in the bedroom, playing a song and then talking to my mum and saying, "It's 25 years now. It's me and you against the world, kid." And he played all these songs and used all this dialogue. And his final words were, "Don't forget, doll, I'll be waiting for you." Now, I did both funerals, which was hard, but when I did mum's funeral, I said, "My dad always had the last word, and he's having it today." And I played that clip. And I said, "Mum, get your lippy on, it's time for that last foxtrot." And the final words were my dad saying, "Don't forget, kid, I'll be waiting for you." That's what this is about. That's why it's meaningful. That's why it matters.
Hey,
That's
Paul, I'll give
really good.
a different example from my family, heritage, yeah? So in my life echo, there's a story about why I'm called Steve and don't have a second name. And basically, my dad went and got drunk. Yeah, I was meant to be called Stuart after my granddad. He got to the registry office the next day with a massive hangover, got ST out, being a docker, couldn't actually spell Stuart, and put Stephen down. My mum went berserk, right? And I never got a second name. But funny enough, I've got three children, Tom, Chris, and Joe, and they haven't got second names. They've got names that we can shorten. So it can be Thomas when he's in trouble, Tom, yeah. And I've been told by them that they're going to do the same thing for their kids. So that is legacy. And the great grandkids might want to know, hang on, why have I only got a short name? Yeah. Another one. My son Tom is a Man United fan because I told him how to be a Man United fan, even though he lived in Horsham. And he had to be a Man United fan because my grandmother, God knows why, living in Kent, was United fan. And my mother, because of that, was United fan. By the way, none of the men care about football. And I had to grow up in Kent as the only Man United fan when they were in the second division. Yeah, with all my mates supporting Arsenal and Tottenham. And I wanted to know why. And my grandmother was around to explain that actually it was her friend who was a Man United fan and she'd taken her to see Man United all the way up in Man United and she never forgot that. And that's why she's a Man United fan. My mum's a Man United fan. I'm a Man United fan. And to this day, we're Man United fans of the generation. That's legacy that
That's
somebody's got to
legacy.
document. And the
Yeah,
life echo, in my life echo, that's documented.
that is the definition of legacy. Literally. I mean, it is kind of going back what you guys are saying there as well. Like, if some people were to find out, I don't know, that their great grandparents were doctors or something, it's like maybe they found want to kind of honor that or something, or go in that direction because of that. And that is legacy. If we knew these things, it's like maybe we could find that in ourselves sometimes as well, like what Janet says, that maybe we it gives them that push to go in a certain direction. Or and so I mean, all of this is really going back to how important it is to document our story.
Yep.
And I think that's really what Life's Echo is about as well.
Yeah, it's about validation of who you are and why you are that way. And that increases security for everyone.
Janet, could you have access to an interactive digital version of a deceased loved one, prevent people from fully letting go?
April, we don't let go. I don't encourage people to try to let go. You don't amputate a relationship in that way. Your brain doesn't do it. There's a difference between accepting that someone has died and letting go. Why do you have to let go?
Mhm.
You take somebody with you. Remembering them is the last act of love. We have to celebrate that.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, people say as well, like they say, I am part of my mom, or I am who I am because of so and so.
Yeah,
I
that
guess
story lives
living,
inside you.
yeah.
And one of the last things I always say at every funeral is people die, but they don't die entirely. You will see mannerisms, looks, phrases used. That's the legacy that we all leave behind. Their story is now your story as your lives continue.
Well, I hope my kids don't swear as much as me.
I'll swear at your funeral, Steve. If I do your funeral, I'll say Steve
Hey,
was
and
here.
Janet, you got no chance, darling. I'm living to 100.
Yeah, I definitely will have retired. Definitely. So yeah, the letting go thing I think is a bit of a misnomer. We don't have to let go. It's impossible to let go. You accept a death, you don't have to let go. That's
Yeah.
who you are. That's your mum. Why
Mm.
would you let go of something so special? It's cruel. It's a cruel concept that you have to let go of a relationship that's made you who you are.
I think saying that question, it is kind of like what people say though, don't they? Like, oh, you need to let go, you need to move on. But I think what you said there is a different, it's not about letting go. It's a maybe you can accept
I
someone's
think we
death.
conflate dying with letting go. If somebody has suffered a terrible illness and lots of treatment, and the body is overwhelmed by problems and they're frail and it's distressing to watch, then yes, you would say it's okay to go. It's okay to go. Lots of families do that, but that's okay for the life to end. It's okay for the person to die. It doesn't mean that the grieving person has to let go in any way.
Mm,
It's about the person letting go of life because the body has failed them. It's never about the family letting go of the love they felt or that connection.
yeah. If a child grows up regularly speaking to an AI representative of, let's say, a grandparent, could that reshape their understanding of death?
I don't think it will, April. I really don't. Kids are very resilient. They're growing up in a digital world. I don't think there are protections in place, and it goes back to responsibility, and that goes back to parental responsibility and the way they guide. Yes, the company will make sure there are lots of safeguards in there. But they'll adapt. They're adapting all the time. I think they'll be less affected, a child, than an adult. It'll be the adults that find the whole thing a bit freaky, the older people. Kids won't.
I
And actually,
completely agree. We
talking
only
about death removes the fear.
yeah.
It's when people don't talk about death, they're frightened. I've got 9 grandchildren. They all know about death. They all know about funerals. We walk around the graveyards every day with the dogs. They know exactly what happens. They are less frightened than somebody who doesn't talk about death because they know that most of the time a doctor can make you better and sometimes they can't.
Think as well, 'cause I'm still kind of part of that generation where I grew up without technology until a certain level, and then the internet came about. I'm like born in 2000, so it's really on that cusp. So I think I'm the last generation of people without technology until a certain age. And it is true, it's like it's so different now. Like people are like kids are growing up with technology, and it's a different world out there now, and I think, yeah, you're right, it's just different, it's all gonna be different, like you said, maybe the parents might feel a type of way, but the children growing up, it's gonna be, like, their normal reality.
Hey, but can I just add to that? It's because I grew up in a generation we didn't even have calculators. Yeah, so we couldn't go into our exams. We had to mentally do maths because we weren't allowed to use calculators, even though we are going to use them in life. You then had the generation that came along with the internet, where we didn't allow the people to use the internet because they had to learn the internet. And now we've got AI coming along. And I love every single one of those changes. I love the disruption. I love playing with this technology. And part of the drive of Life Echo is saying, where can we take this? Right? So we have to have ethical boundaries. We've discussed that. But by God, I've enjoyed creating this product and I've enjoyed pushing the boundaries. And I think we're creating something that can do the world of good. And we're putting the barriers around it to try to avoid it doing harm. And every penny we make, yeah, we're donating 5% to charities to deal with MND, to deal with motor neurone, to deal with any disease where you lose control, and we can give that control to them to take into the old people's home, to take into future generations. That's where AI can do good, and we're trying to do good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I could justify that if it's okay, April, with just a couple of examples from planning funeral services, which are very personalised. What I do, the non-religious, the bespoke, and it's my job to tell a person's story. And sometimes I get to people and I have no information. One lady was in a care home and she was non-communicative and nobody knew anything about her. She'd been badly abused and it was incredibly sad. And I went to it was a solicitor's referral, so there were no family. But in a will, she said she wanted a funeral, so a funeral has to be done. So I went to the care home and I said, look, let's go up to her bedroom and search. And we went through all the letters. And by doing that, we found out actually, as a young girl, she'd been a nurse in London. And we managed to piece together something of a story. And I went on ancestry.com and it was the girls from the nursing home who carried her in. Um, Imagine the difference it would have made had I had information. I mean, that turned out to be a beautiful funeral where we all felt proud of ourselves and the staff and the care they'd done. You know, it took her 3 months to be able to eat with a knife and fork when she came in. That's that person's story, and we were part of that, and that's a privilege. Another lady who died with dementia in the last few months of her life, the only thing she ever said was bang, 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 bang. And she said it to everybody who came in. And I thought, why is she saying bang, bang? There has to be a story to this. So I managed to find a brother who was deep in Ireland and he was old. I could hardly tell what he was saying. But the story was when they were kids, there was a man in Dublin who used to get on and off the buses pretending to shoot people, going bang, 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 bang. And you can look that up, Mr. Bang Bang in Dublin. And I could tell that story at the funeral. How wonderful would it be if this magic and these gems were there to utilise when we're memorialising somebody?
yeah, and even you've talked about 2, women that were in care homes as well, and it's going back to Steve's point. Imagine if they knew about their lives, the carers as well, and how different it would be for them. So, yeah, really going I think we're really going back over all of our points in how powerful this product could be and how much good it could be as well.
Yeah. Life has to have meaning. This product adds meaning.
Moving on to a different point now, should someone allow to create a digital legacy if their recorded views might later be considered offensive or harmful?
Who defines what's harmful? Who decides what's wrong? Who defines what beliefs are wrong? This is a private family legacy document. If you're published it publicly, then I think we've got to look at it and we've got to edit and we may have some safeguards. I think we've got to look at some obvious things to say, yeah, you can't do a last word that's clearly going to upset everybody at the funeral. But yeah, it's your document, it's your choice, it's your legacy. Surely it should be your control.
Yeah. I think the right has to stay with the author of the echo. And there will have been guidance at that point of not weaponizing it in any way, not causing harm, not causing upset, not using this to reveal something that would greatly upset somebody. All that guidance is
What do you
already.
mean it's not my father?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly.
sort of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we chewed the cud on all these things, and it goes back to thinking of the worst scenario and how complicated life can be. And we can't be responsible for everybody's relationships and their experiences, but we've been damn careful to make sure that this tool isn't weaponized in any way.
Hmm.
And we can analyze it. Remember, AI can analyze every bit of data and every single life echo and every single last word. So yeah, we will be aware, but only exceptional circumstances will we step in. If somebody said, I'm going to reveal that this such and such is not my daughter, not my son, that's clearly weaponizing the product and we won't allow it.
No.
But outside of that, it's really got to be, we're grown ups, guys, use it in a grown up way.
Yeah. Going on a little bit about the last words, can you explain that concept a little bit, Steve?
Uh, it's for me. Okay, so, but it's also for other people. 28% of funerals now are direct funerals where, because of the cost of having a funeral, people take them from the old people's home, cremated, and you just get the ashes and you don't have a closure event. And I think that's highly dangerous, and Janet can talk about that. For me, it's just my ego. It's my funeral, and I want to tell them what I think at my funeral. And I want to have a laugh at my funeral because I don't want a boring old funeral. For example, I'm going up in free fireworks, and one of my sons said, well, I've got to chop you up. I went, no, don't be daft. I'm going to be cremated first, and then you're going to put me in free fireworks, and I want a big bench at the top of the hill. And I will remind people of my sense of humour. I want to remind people that I love them. I want to remind people what happened and why we became an extended family. And I'll remind them that I've got 5 kids that I love each one of them. That's the sort of thing that doing live is quite hard. So we've created the ability to produce a physical avatar. So it looks like you, quite scary. You write a script and it can talk for you. Why is that important? Well, you don't know when you're going to die. So when do you know to
Mhm.
write your final word? It can be updated, it can be edited because it's just a script. I might be on my deathbed, not capable of recording a video, not capable of writing a script, but I can dictate what I want said, and then the avatar can just say it in my voice and how I looked when I was younger and healthier. And I like that. Many people might not. It's a product of choice. You pay the extra fee to have that, or you don't pay the extra fee to have that. But that's something that we think, again, can add value to people, because it's funerals about the people you're leaving behind. And in my personal view, is they should be celebrations of your life and not just, oh my God, Steve's dead. Well, they may be happy because there might be a bit of cash flowing, but generally, it's about celebrating the person's life, remembering those are the people left behind. And I think it's a nice thing to be able to see the person that's died at the funeral. And again, to go and use a life echo to have a chat to them if you want to. So again, it's up to the individual.
I think that's going to what you said there about reminding your family about this and reminding your family about your sense of humor. I think sometimes people would want their funeral to be a celebration of life, but it doesn't always end up happening because, like you said, everyone's clearly really upset. And then it kind of allows them to remind people to celebrate someone's life and not just mourn as well, if that's what you'd want,
Yeah.
obviously. What's your take on that, Janet? What do you think?
I'm just picking up on the upset word there. When I meet families, yes, they're upset. But as I sit with them and I build the trust, and the most important skill I've got is listening and knowing where to put the emphasis. And they sit and they memorialize and they cry and they laugh and they support each other and they plan and they take control. And I support their ideas. And most importantly, they feel safe. And by the time I leave, the amount of people who say, I'm looking forward to the funeral now.
Oh, wow.
That's because they've taken control. That's because they know it matters and because they know that it's going to be authentic. And the first thing I say is funerals are not about death, they're about life. You might be here because somebody's died, but we're here to talk about the life. And a life has lots of fun bits in it.
Mm.
That
But
end of the journey is a very small bit. If somebody swore like a trooper all their life and was an absolute swine, and swore and drank, the anecdotes I use will be choice because everything I do is authentic. And I might say, you would have told it like it is, so buckle up, you're in for a rough ride. And I will do it exactly as the family want me to do, and it will sound just like that person.
so
That's
we basically digitalized Janet. So to be fair, and this is quite an important point, we're never going to make Janet redundant. Yeah. The human aspect, empathy, understanding, talking to the family is a really important part of a funeral. But if Janet's got a pre-made script that the person's left about their life, it's quite hard talking to a celebrant. I've done it about your family's life. If you can say, here's the basics, and then let's have a chat around that, it actually became quite a giggle. Yeah, tell us about
Yeah.
how you were named, Steve. Why did your father, Keith, when he died, call you Stephen and call you Stuart when he should actually grandfather's name because he was drunk at the registry office? That's an anecdote that adds flavour and adds authenticity because that was my dad.
Mm.
One of the funerals I did recently, it was a gay couple that I was working with, and he died suddenly. And it was they threw everything at that funeral. The funeral was an hour long and there were 500 people there. And I had various things to do. And one of them was Beyonce. Now, as a chubby aging lady, I thought, how the bloody hell have I got myself into this? But it was important. So the middle song was, oh, I can't remember the name of it now, even because I don't know
Did
Beyonce.
you have to shake your bum?
Well, see, what happened was I introduced the song and said, I'll call him Peter. It was really important, Peter, that you dance to this. And the funeral director I was working with said they won't dance. I said they will. And I had a Beyonce hat under the lectern. So this music starts where she's clicking. So I just turned me back to them, did the click, turned around with the hat and shouted, bring the beat in. They went insane and they danced. And the trouble was then I had to dance with them because I was up there and I was in the moment. So I did 4 minutes of dancing Beyonce with 500 people. And he'd also wanted this young lad who sings karaoke in the pub to sing to the coffin from his partner. And he was singing Cilla Black, You're My World. And it was the karaoke version, which that's booked in the system. I can't change that. And I'd said to the technician at the creme, are the words coming up on the screen? And she said, no. I just said, well, I really hope he knows them. Because obviously I've never seen this lad. So I'm bringing him up and this teenager comes up in his anorak, frightened to death, shaking like a leaf. And I'm thinking, how is this going to go? Anyway, we introduced him. He starts singing Cilla Black, You're My World. And the music stopped halfway through. Now, there's nothing I can do about that. So I just had to get the whole crowd to sing it and say, you know the words, sing with him. And 500 Manx sang with that lad, You're My World, Cilla Black. This is the people business, and this product is part of the people business.
It does
Mm.
make me think I better really do my last word and put a song in. I don't know what I'm going to sing, but I better chuck something in there. I might have to do Queen, Dust to Dust.
Oh, you'd be amazed the songs I play.
It's just having that choice though, isn't it, really? Why not just record a video?
Because when do you record that video? Probably when you're healthy, 10 years ahead of your funeral. What happens if something changes? Who can do a word perfect video and get out all the sentiment when it's really emotional? So it's much easier creating a video clone and a voice clone of yourself that you just write a script that can be edited right up onto your deathbed, and it can then come out and speak as though you're creating that video. So it's a just-in-time video, no matter how bad a condition you are in, that celebrates you when you're earlier in your life, and that's what most people want, we think. If they want to just record a video, just record a video. Everything's a personal choice. This is just another way of making it easier for you.
And
Mm,
how would you tap into the wisdom with a video? How do you
yeah,
tap into the wisdom in times of life events where you've got a decision to make, or you're getting married, or you're worried, or you don't understand the world politically? How do you tap into that wisdom that has been left there with your ancestor? You can't, whereas with the avatar, you can. That guidance is there.
yeah. And you can't have a conversation with a video either. I know that Steve lightly touched on this, but Janet, you're a celebrant. Do you think this is threatening to your job?
I don't. I can't wait to utilize it. I'm already playing sound bites. I've got sometimes I'll have my iPhone where I play a recording. All kinds of funny things in terms of technology I will put into a service. So I'm already using the deceased person's voice sometimes that I've got the software system to cut in for me. So
Mm,
we're already doing it. You will see during the reflection piece quite often you've got the big screens now in the creme, you've got the rotating photographs, it's being filmed, it's being streamed across the world. We're using these voice notes. It's all personalised. Personalisation is going up.
So you think it's
Okay.
an asset
I,
really too?
yeah, I got a slightly different view. I think Janet is a massively high scale, high quality product that probably not everybody can afford. Some people are going to do a remote funeral where they can't even be bothered to have a church, have a registry, yeah, and they just get the ashes, put them on the windowsill, and don't grieve properly. So at 199, this is a product that anybody can use to host their own funeral at the pub in a low cost way. And I think that hopefully will be a new form of celebrant, not replacing Janet, but complementing celebrants at the lower end of the market. And even at the upper end of the market, making celebrants' lives easier by creating a script they can look at and they can call upon. They will still personalize it, they will still add lots and lots to it, but it may make life easier for the families and the whole process. So maybe we're going to see top end funerals and cheaper end funerals with a Lice Echo being the main drive.
I don't disagree with that. You can already see the paradigm shift to direct cremations, and we've mentioned that briefly. The important, it doesn't have to be a celebrant, it certainly doesn't have to be me. People have to be memorialised. How they do that will change. Personally, I don't think there will be enough money left in the state to run all these individual crematoriums. Without being too nitty gritty about it, people are not actually cremated while you're in that building anyway. I think that bodies will be centralised and cremated somewhere else, and then there'll be separate memorialisation services. And this is where this product comes in. It's the memorialisation that's important, no matter how you do it. And that's a natural element. It's natural to grieve
Mm,
and it's natural to show respect. When a crow dies, they have a funeral. They all circle above. Elephants have funerals. It's natural. How you do it, the way we personalise it, and the way it definitely is going to change, this product supports that.
yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a funeral in the pub. So
Yeah.
one of our ambitions as a company, and this is where you have to tread a really delicate line, is I would love to host the first AI funeral.
Yeah.
But we've got to find somebody that's done a life echo, and we don't actually want them to die quickly. So we've got to be patient, because the last thing we want us to do is life echoes and then pop, they've gone. Yeah, so it's a real difficult balance, but I think we will be hosting as a business, yeah, AI funerals and assisting in memorializing people, both by having the last word played as a video, but also sitting in the corner with your iPad or your phone and being able to chat to that person about their life at their funeral to memorialize them. And then to that conversation, have with other people. Do you remember when Auntie Dot did this? Blah blah blah. Do you remember when my grandmother, I was playing football with her, kicked the ball, smashed the large window in our house? That's the sort of thing you want to have at a funeral. Memories, conversations, celebrations, and it helps you not let go. It helps you accept that the person's gone, but they're still in your life, still in your soul.
On that then, where does it stop? When does it become too much?
What do you
Um,
mean too much? When does what become? We always need to remember our loved ones, memorialize. This is about life, it's not about death. The more we demystify that, the more we get people to talk openly about death and dying, the better. Because if we're going to leave it until people are so poorly they don't want to be seen, so debilitated by conditions they can't speak, the voices are not going to be told. It needs to be done while they're well, while they've got the spark, while they still feel important and worthy of something to say before they get frail. The only way of doing that is not to be frightened about planning death.
can I give you one example where it goes too far? And this is where it's a fine balance of where we're at the moment, because it's cutting edge technology. So we have the ability to record a video of me now, 3 or 4 minutes. It captures my movements, it captures my face, it captures my mouth, captures my voice, and we can write a script that can power that speech in the future as a last word. Where it would be going too far if that speech wasn't locked down to the creator and somebody else could decide what that avatar says. That's going too far. Yeah, that's just one example. Because it's a private echo we're leaving, we're not making it public. Yeah, I'm not that worried about people giving hate speeches after they've died. If it was public, we'd have to stop that, because I wouldn't allow it in their life and I wouldn't allow it in their death. So yeah, we have to debate the technology, how it's used, and when it's going too far. So
Mm,
videoing and putting words into somebody's mouth that they never said, clearly going too far in my book. We can do it. I would never allow it within this product.
yeah, yeah, I get that is yeah, definitely going too far.
I think the important thing to know, April, is that the ethical considerations are not going anywhere. Our priorities are not going to change. We'll always be here to minimise harm and maximise benefit, to protect people's rights, to use their own autonomy and make their own choices. Yes, I'm a thanatologist. The way people die, the way community copes with death is very important to me. My passion is not going anywhere anyway. And this is a dynamic process.
Mm,
It will change. Of course, it will change, and we'll learn, we'll monitor, we'll integrate the improvements, and we'll keep debating. But central to everything we do within the ethics is not really the deontological side of ethics, where you consider this is right and this is wrong, black and white. The way we look at this is the consequential arguments. Where's the greater good? What is the consequence of doing it that way? What is the consequence of not doing it? That open debate will run aside all the developments as society is changing around us and embracing AI. And there'll be a lot of safeguards to keep it safe, but this will support people to memorialise themselves and their loved ones in a meaningful and safe way.
yeah. On developments, what are you currently thinking about, Steve?
Um, we've just finishing off the last word, and that allows you to by doing a 3-4 minute interview. It captures your hand motions, your facial motions. It allows you to clone your voice, and you can write a script so you get word perfect what you want to say at your funeral, and that can be amended. So you do it 10 years before you die when you're healthy, but right up to the last minute, the script only by the creator can be amended by the creator using passwords, protections, etc. So you get to decide what you say in a word perfect manner at your own funeral. That's cutting edge.
Mm.
And that's what we're developing.
Could digital legacies like this eventually create a form of technological immortality only available to those who can afford it?
Absolute rubbish. Yeah. Why do you think it's called Echo? We have such complex lives, such complex emotions, such complex thought processes. It's never going to be possible to be downloaded into a computer and survive immortally. You live, you die, that's the end. Yeah, this is this way of leaving a legacy for future generations that tell them about your life, but it's an echo, and it can only ever be an echo of your life. And it's 199. Yes, that's not cheap, but it's not expensive for creating an autobiography and a voice that can talk and capture your stories and your life forever.
So on that, you know how I justify my purchases is how long it's gonna be used or how much I'm gonna use it. So let's say, yeah, Life Cycle does cost 199, but if I work out the days of or the years of how long I could use this product, actually works out pretty cheap.
And your children and your grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve, Life Cycle costs £199. Do you think that's a fair price?
Yeah, in fact, no, I think it's far too cheap. If you actually look at what you're getting a full autobiography written for you, all your photos captured, and a nice digital book that you can then, at an extra cost, not a lot, get printed. But you're also getting an avatar that can talk to future generations about your life, because nobody want to read an autobiography, particularly about their granddad. But I would love to know, why I supported Man United, why they lived in Kent, why, they came over from Germany. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff that, if you're not careful, gets lost in hereditary. So I think it's a bargain. Let people try it and make their own minds up, because they try before you buy options. You don't just have to put your 199 down. There's also life events. So younger generations that haven't got a life echo or an autobiography to write yet can do their 18th birthday, the 21st, their holidays, their weddings. And that's a 30-minute interview, but the technology is the same. So see what it's like for you to use, and that will give you the confidence that your parents or your grandparents can sit on their couch, press a button, chat to an AI avatar quite naturally, and document their lives. Give it a try.
If technology allows us to preserve our voices, memories, and personalities for generations, are we safeguarding human history or creating a digital afterlife we don't yet understand?
I think both is the honest answer. We're trying to create legacy. We're trying to allow the people to leave an echo about their lives for future generations. Do we fully understand the implications? No. That's why we formed a ethics committee to look at all the obvious stuff about the grieving process and morals about what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do in terms of public and private utterances in your life's echo. But this is a product that will evolve. So if you ask me in 10 years' time, did I know where the product would be 10 years ago? It's like most technology. No, it's an ongoing process. We're committed to have an ethics committee. We're committed to do good with our charitable work. That's as much as I think I can promise at the moment.
I don't think it's about afterlife at all, April. We're not saying that there's an afterlife. We're actually celebrating a life that has been, listening to the echo from that life, which is supporting of people that are alive now. That was still very clear that that person has died, and it's supporting the lives that come after and the lives that come after that. It gives life meaning,
Mm,
and
yeah.
we'll always want to do that.